Thanks for staying with us. We are still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, Chukwudi Okoliobaja is seated and ready for the newspaper review. I don't want to add Chuks the boy because some boys are on the streets.
Good morning, Victor. Demola, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. And you?
Some commentaries are unnecessary.
I'm actually the brother here.
Just go with his trouble.
On your way, did you notice any?
Any what?
I mean, any protest?
What's the road like?
No.
What's the situation like?
I thought that starting from about 3 days ago, security on the engineer access would have been one that devoted a lot of time searching vehicles and all that, but they pursue and all that. Okay. I think the security forces have strict instructions to be as liberal as possible, but never ever not to go firm when people begin to do things that are unworthy of what a good character would do. I think that there is really instruction for them to behave, quite honorably. Okay. We pray that everyone does their job properly.
All right, let's begin with the blueprint here. And just above the nameplate of the blueprint papers, oil theft, NAF airstrikes destroy over 70 illegal refineries in 3 months. That story is on page 6. And just below it, below the masthead, Tinubu mourns as music legend Onyeka Onwenu dies at 72. That story is also on page 6. World Bank restructures Nigeria's $350 million power project loan to December, page 21. And in sports, Paralympics, Super Falcons crash out after loss to Japan. What a pity, 32, page 32 of that. And the major headline here reads, 2026 recapitalization. CBN begins review of banks' capital plans. We will support FG's $1 trillion GDP 2030 target. That's according to Cardoso. And you can find the remaining of that story on page 8. And then as protest commences, FG urges dialogue. Rail South achievements, more groups back out. It has 4 riders. 50 kilogram rice to be sold at 40,000 naira available. That's according to Idris, Minister of Information. Governor Yusuf, Emir Sanusi, Kanu residents back Tinubu. Court restricts Abuja, Ogun protesters. And let no bullet be fired tomorrow. Adegborua begs IGP Tinubu. That story continues on pages 13 and 14. There are a few other more stories, but I think we should just leave it here so that we can get to the leadership. But not before I take this AKU cartoon here. 50 kg rice to be sold at 40K now available. And then the other one says, what about the stew? Off to the leadership we go. And above the nameplate, you find that sad story too. Tinubu, Obi, others mourn Onyeka Onwenu. The story is on page 8. And beside it, EFCC recovers over 231 billion naira, $70 million in 1 year. That story is on page 7. And below the masthead, Otedola lauds federal government's windfall tax policy, accuses bank chiefs of extravagant lifestyle. Page 7. The major headline here reads, tight security as hunger protest begins today. Page 4. Governors, FG make last-minute appeal to protesters. Ex-militants, others pull out. Court restricts protesters to Abuja Stadium. And PDP accuses APC LP of plot to cause unrest in Enugu. And you could see below that the picture story of the minister and his deputy in one of the satellite towns of the FCT. U.S. Embassy hires new visa service provider August 26, page 4. The 40K bag of rice is also there. Kanu begins plan to implement minimum wage, page 16. And Nelfon pays 1.7 billion naira tuition for 20,000 students. That story is on page 8. Debola.
Okay, I have the Daily Sun newspaper, and just beside the nameplate, Senate expands CBN loan mandate to federal government. House in rowdy session approves 10% advances to government. Opposition lawmakers stage walkout. Details is on page 28, and the major headlines reads, mass protest. Security forces lock down Abuja, Lagos orders. The details can be found on page 6, 8, and 26. And we have pandemonium in Owerri as gunmen launch attacks. The details on page 4. Nelfon disburses 1.17 billion loans to 20,000 students. Details on page 28. Not protest. Northern elders give federal government conditions. Youth back action. That's the details can be found on page 26. Consular services. U.S. Embassy consulate change visa services provider. And details can be found on page 29. 1 year not long enough for Tinubu's policies to yield desired results. Senate. That story can be found on page 6. And, well, that's all. Chooks, it's over to you.
Let no bullet be fired tomorrow. They're talking
That
about
is today.
today. Let no bullet be fired tomorrow. Exercise as much restraint as you can. Sometimes protesters get incensed by the attitude of people who are trying to rein them in. Let us all be very civil about the protest. Both the people protesting and the people who are trying to make sure that, actually you have a job to protect them. Yes. When was it the last time in Lagos people in government were handing out pure water sachets to...
In fact, I just read now that
You understand?
the police commissioner in Edo State has promised to provide water and sweet for the protesters.
Look at that.
That's the way to go.
That's a psychological masterstroke.
Just for them to just be able to be peaceful.
Exactly.
And be civil about it.
It does a lot to
they're
the
providing
mind.
them water, they're providing sweets and
That's
all that,
it.
so that for them to be comfortable.
Exactly. That's the kind of attitude we should adopt.
Yeah.
But the protesters should also make sure that they remember this is our country. I'm not sure the Kenyans are very happy over the things that happened in
There's so much destruction going on.
Yes.
Most importantly,
so-
security agencies should ensure that there are no infiltrators, because that's where there is a challenge.
There will be people who attempt to infiltrate. So let them make sure that they also have such people in control. The good thing about security forces is that they just get to know more than you know, even concerning your neighborhood. Yeah, they are that adept, proficient, So I think by His grace, it's all going to turn out well. In the spirit of you have a right to protest, which the Minister of Information echoed on behalf of the President. The President himself also said that. In fact, one of the papers is saying this is the time to measure or find out how much of the of democracy credentials the president has, how he handles this will show him as a Democrat, or otherwise. I think he's a Democrat. Good. 1 year not enough. I think I agree that 1 year is not enough. I said it yesterday. If only they
should be given another 1 year.
Exactly. I kept singing it
At
right
least.
from... Yes. Let us be logical, You don't have to be the president's fan to be fair to him concerning you know, the time people are using to write a result sheet for him, for crying out loud. The administration is not 2 years old. So what magic could you expect? But they say a hungry man is an angry man. That's assuming that hunger is actually the main reason
the main
people
driver,
are.
yeah.
Exactly. The fifth column list may be there, so the security forces have to be very, very careful. 50 kg rice to be sold for 40,000 naira. First of all, you have to make sure that you have everything in place for crowd control. Because if I'm going to buy rice, the last one I bought was 85,000.
Thereabout, yeah.
Thereabout. If
50
you're now,
kg, right?
Oh, sure. If you now drop it to 40,000 naira, imagine the kind of crowd. Crowd control is going to be important. Then I hope they don't have not for sale on it, because that will be bad communication. You know, oh, sorry, not for sale.
You can't have
not for sale,
because it's
can't
for
be
sale.
on it if you're selling it. So I hope they don't have not for sale there, because it will be a misnomer and all that. We didn't talk about the elegant stadium
But
yesterday.
AKU asked, when you talked about the 40k rice, AKU is asking, what about the stew?
What about the stew? That's mischief cartooning. Is okay. But it's very important.
But you won't eat white rice.
No, it's very important.
Whether it's jollof rice
But
or...
because up until 3 weeks ago, tomato was relatively speaking more expensive than the rice, if you check. So that's a point. But I think tomato is coming down now.
Yeah, I guess
it's
so.
just that we do not have the Derica from northern Nigeria. I think it's local tomato.
And then
A lot of water, little puree.
we have a short time to go, the elegant stallion.
The elegant stallion. Yes, yesterday we were a bit cautious about it because of our procedures for breaking news. What can you say about Onyekongwenu? What can you not say about Onyekongwenu? I saw the bit where Ajurin Gelale, the presidential spokesman, was giving the president's message. The president recalled the many artistic interventions of the late musical icon in promoting public good, noting her classic collaboration with Sunny Ade.
Yeah.
Wait for me.
Wait for me.
Wait for me.
Man, I love you, well, no more. Yeah. I know you
They
are going
won't
to
love.
say you won't wax, you won't buy my record. If I do wax
I'm
it.
telling you, I won't go near it.
I will know the likes of you. And remember when she warned us about Scondomania, that documentary on Wastage, way back in 1993, thereabout. You know, people have been talking about good governance in this country on and on. I pray we're getting it in the dosage we want it, you know, these days. Otherwise, people have been talking about doing things the proper way so that the average Nigerian would have a good story to tell at the end of the day.
So, thank you very much, Chooks. I think we draw the curtain here.
May-
May our soul rest in
Exactly.
peace.
She performed to the very end.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
To the very end.
You call it she died with her boots on. That's the idiomatic expression for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.